For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh, and today we are diving into the crazy, insane, oddly beautiful, The Substance. Let's get into it. Attempting to meet the ever-demanding beauty demands of Hollywood, an aging television actress turns to an experimental drug that promises her a renewal and a better self. The Substance is one of those movies that it's incredibly hard to just kind of pick a talking point to start to, other than just to say that this is one of the best genre pieces that we have gotten in 2024. And I'll go as even far as to say that this is one of the best body horror films that we have gotten in a decade, if not even, dare I say, the new millennium. This movie is an absolute roller coaster of emotions, feeling everything from disgust to laughter to anxiety to just anger and frustration and just, I feel like the best way also just on the topic of roller coasters to explain that is just how this movie hits on all of the senses. Not only does it have a lot of cool visuals in this movie and a really gross out third act, but it also invokes some skin crawling auditory stuff as well. And maybe this is just my experience because ASMR, the sounds that are produced from that practice really make my skin crawl. And that's not everyone's experience. So the auditory elements of this movie might not get under your skin the way that they do for me. But if you are like me, this is your trigger warning. And the performances, my goodness, let's talk about these performances. Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore both give exceptional performances here. And I've only seen Qualley in a handful of roles, but this might be a career best for her. And this performance also is, I would say, not only one of the best performances that Moore's ever given in her career, but I would even go as far as to say that this is probably her most transformative and also fearless role that she's ever taken on in her 30-plus year career. Also, Dennis Quaid's in this movie, and he has a very small, very minor role compared to the other two, but also leaves just an uncomfortable feeling every time he's on screen. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen Dennis Quaid in a movie outside of Reagan, of course, released a couple of weeks ago. And he's a character that you really hate. And I promise you that he does that character justice and is disgusting. And when you understand, you see in the context of the film's themes and the world of the movie, it makes sense. But another good performance here. And while we're speaking on the film's themes, I will say this, that I'm probably going to need another 2 or 3 viewings of this film to properly soak in everything that Coralie Fargeat is trying to say here. Fargeat not only delivers one of the best scripts that has been given this year with some of the most stunning direction from any director that I've seen within the horror genre, but she also manages to touch on really personal and just timely themes that are always in the forefront of the conversation when you're talking about Hollywood and those outside of Hollywood. Especially with the rise of social media, it's now easier than ever to not only have body dysmorphia, but also at the same time to have constant comparisons, to belittle yourself, and also having the forefront of people like influencers really double down and make that battle for those of us that struggle with it that much harder. Honestly, I think this film is an uncompromising look at just the old adage, be careful what you wish for, but also a film that dives fearfully and, I will also say, masterfully headfirst into topics including body dysmorphia, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and everything that comes with that struggle. And I'll also note this as well, going back to the genre elements of this film. This film has this really dystopian, almost sci-fi aspect to it that is a very subtle touch to its otherwise really grounded approach to its storytelling. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way about this movie, but again, it just goes back to how masterfully Fargeat really wrote this film. And also, on the notes of the genre elements, I would be remiss not to talk about the practical effects in this film. A body horror is made or broken by its practical effects, and this one is honestly feels like a throwback to, like I said, classic Cronenberg. The special effects are just the chef's kiss to this entire thing. My goal is that hopefully by the end of the year, we will expand this conversation over on abyss gazing, so keep your eyes out for that. But let's run this one through the Rorschach rating scale in the meantime. I'm going to go ahead and give The Substance the coveted 5 out of 5. I think this is one of the best genre pieces that we have gotten this year. Margaret Qualley, Dennis Quaid, and a brilliant performance by Demi Moore. Fearless, again, I will add with that one. Not only a stellar cast with exceptional performances, the script and direction from Coralie Fargeat is nothing short of outstanding, and this film speaks to a number of timely and unfortunately timeless themes all together, and is begging for conversation. And the way that it just culminates in one of the gnarliest, grossest third acts of any film that I've seen in the last 5 years, it just is amazing. So if you guys have seen The Substance or plan to see The Substance, comment below and let me know what your favorite body horror film is. And while you're doing that, let's talk about mental health. If you guys are new to our content, Mental Health Moment is where we will take a theme of mental health out of the film which we're reviewing, talk about it for a few moments in the hopes to deconstruct the stigma that is surrounding mental health. There's a moment in this movie where Demi Moore's character meets someone else that has involved in the substance program, and he turns to her and kind of is commenting on his experience, but there's a moment in there that he says, "You deserve to live." And out of everything that this movie speaks on, I think when you're talking about mental health, this is something that we all need to hear and that we all need to be reminded of. That every breath you take, that every step you take, every day that you wake up, you are 100% worthy of that breath, and that you do, in fact, deserve to live. Did you know that in 2022, over 49,000 people right here in the United States died by suicide? Just to kind of put that into perspective, that is one death roughly every 11 minutes. And did you also know that for every person that dies by suicide, there are 25 more roughly that have attempted suicide? And just to put that into perspective, that's 1.6 million suicides that were attempted in 2022. These are mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, grandparents, friends, colleagues that were looking at the circumstances surrounding their own life and saying they didn't deserve to live for whatever circumstances of life were teaching them in that time. And like this movie says, and like we here at Victims and Villains say, you do deserve to live. In the show notes below, you guys will find a link to our mental health resource library, or if you guys are watching this on Instagram, you can click the link in our bio. Please choose to stay with us and remember that you are not alone. The Substance opens this Friday from Mubi and working title. Check your local listings. And in the show notes below, you guys will find more information about who we are as not only a publication, but also a nonprofit. Links to all of our social media, our mental health resource library, our podcast network, more movie reviews like this, our how to support us on Patreon for our mental health education efforts, and also that subscribe button right here on YouTube so that you don't miss a moment. Until next time, remember to stay classy and stay happy.